to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast, the show where aspiring and experienced matchmakers come to sharpen their skills, grow their businesses, and elevate the matchmaking industry. Your host is Arlene Washburn, an award-winning ethical matchmaking advocate, mentor, and industry innovator. Let's dive in.
Whoa. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast, the show dedicated to helping aspiring and experienced matchmakers to build their ethical, profitable, and impactful business while transforming the lives of the clients that they serve. And today we are diving into a topic that many matchmakers overlook, and that is YouTube marketing. Whether you love being on camera or you want to avoid it at all costs, YouTube can be an incredible, effective tool for building visibility and attracting qualified leads. So joining me today is Vicki O'Neill, founder of Ken K Marketing and the Yes Effect movement. She's the YouTube coach, international bestselling author, and multi-time podcast host who helps service-based businesses and owners grow and with simplified strategic marketing. Vicki, welcome to the show, and I'm excited to have you here because I have a lot of questions for you.
It's so good to be here, Arlene. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So let's just dive right into a little bit about your story. So I understand you started out as a video marketing person. Mm-hmm. What made you focus specifically on YouTube?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot, and it's interesting because my very first video that I created was in 2011. And so I really tapped into that experience and how awful it was. And then through conversations with others, realized that other people were actually having a similar experience where they were getting stuck in perfectionism mode, right? So we're getting on camera, we have that fear of judgment. What are we going to say? How are we going to look? Are people going to watch our videos? So we start having all of these self-doubt, self-sabotage things going on in our mind, which are completely natural, but it's all about what to do with them and then how to overcome them. So I like to tap into that experience that I had way back when with my very first video. It took me essentially all day to create a 1 minute, 20-second video and help other people avoid that so they can jump in more confidently than I did.
I love this. And I can so relate because video is not my favorite thing. And I know how powerful it is because I myself, I'm constantly going into YouTube looking for answers. And as far as I know, I think it's the number 2 search engine, especially when it comes to videos. Mm-hmm. So this is so important for anyone who has a business to be able to create some content there and to grow it. And actually, there's more things that you can do, which I'm sure we'll get into how to monetize it and all of that. Mm-hmm. Before we get to you talk in your bio, there's this thing called the Yes Effect movement. I just want to touch on that for 2 seconds and have you tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so it's something new that I started this year, and yes has so many different meanings, but it starts off by saying yes to yourself. So really saying, yes, it's important for me to be seen, be heard, and to be paid. And so the yes then goes to the next level where the Y is for YouTube visibility and authority. And then you do that through the E, which is emotional connections. And the end result is the S, which is strategic sales. So there's a lot of different frameworks and a lot of different processes and formulas that go into how to make that work. But essentially, it starts off with saying yes to yourself.
I love it. I love that so much because a lot of the things that keep people from actually doing videos is feeling like they're being judged, this imposter syndrome, or are people going to value what I have to say? So many things. And also the sales component, which is always kind of a subtle thing that's built into, your call to action or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. A lot of people feel very uncomfortable about that. So I love what you're doing, and I want to hear more about this movement because I think that is so important, particularly because a lot of the people go into matchmaking, I'm not saying all, but a good majority are women. And I think, women in particular have a hard time with this area.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when it comes to selling on video, there's so many different ways that you can do it, but one of the most natural ways that you can do it is actually on YouTube because it's all about getting people from watching your video onto your email list. And so giving them that natural next step is the best way to kind of bridge that gap between being informative and educational and helping people say yes to working with you. So it can be more natural when you do it that way, as long as you're giving value, right? That people are going to say yes to taking that next step towards working with you.
Yeah, and I think what you said is key, the value aspect, because there are times where I'm searching for something on YouTube and I'll find something and I'll, push go and it's like, oh, this is garbage. Let me go to the next thing. So that value is so important because you think that you're giving it away on a video on YouTube, but the reality is the better the value, the more people want to work with you, the more they want to learn more and actually take the next step. So I think it's wonderful. Um,
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about there's an area that kind of bugs me a little bit. I can't tell you almost every day I have someone reaching out to me telling me how my videos, my YouTube channel needs to be optimized. Now, admittedly, I have an old YouTube channel that, I was using like a video storage, which I think a lot of people do, where you just let your videos go on YouTube and you're not doing anything to optimize them whatsoever. This year, because I started the Matchmaker Mentor podcast, I started a new channel, and the goal is to get that optimized and really be very strategic on how to, develop that. But every day I get someone reaching out to me and they send me these, reports and they point out all the things that I'm doing wrong. And I know that you're the expert in this area and you talk about how to optimize your channel and be visible and get conversion and all that. So, where do we begin with this full, optimization?
Yeah, so there's two things. One is to optimize your channel, and then another one is to optimize your videos. And so your
Mhm.
channel, I will say, just to keep it super simple, is to pick a name. So like your ad, mine's at Vicki O'Neill, but make sure that you have something that's going to either be personalized to you if you're building your personal brand. If you're going to go into a niche, like if you're going to be Matchmaker Denver, make sure that it's relevant to the type of content and everything else that you're going to have on your channel, your banner, your profile photo, and your about section. So if you have those four pieces that are all working congruently together, meaning that you don't have Matchmaker Denver as your name, your logo in the banner, and the first thing you see in your about section, because then you're kind of wasting that real estate on replicating the exact same thing instead of maximizing it with other things that you do. That if somebody just goes to your channel and they're like, hey, what does Arlene do? And they see what you do, and then they can say, okay, now what videos does she provide? If all you're doing is saying, the name of your company, then people will be like, whatever, because they don't really care about that. They're there to see what's in it for them. They're there to, find an answer or solve a problem, seek, advice, whatever that is. And they just want to make sure that your channel is the right place for that. And then the second piece of that, which gets a little bit more involved, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel if anybody wants to go there and search for it. But there's 9 different places in your video that are really important to incorporate like the optimization type content into it. And it really starts before you even upload your video. So it's your actual file name of your video. So this is why I talk to people about why it's so important to plan out your videos ahead of time, because you need to plan out all of these things before you even upload your video.
Wow. Okay. So you covered a lot. Let me just recap a little bit. So you're saying, because I remember this with Instagram as well, using up all the different real estate and not having the same information on each one. So in other
Mhm.
words, so your banner would say, so would you use your company name on the banner?
I wouldn't. I would use keep it super simple. So maybe use just like a few words and just like a plain background is the best thing that you could do right now. So for you, it might be matchmaking mentor or find your dream partner. Well, for you, you're helping others build businesses. That might be for your clients. Build your dream business doing what you love. Something like that might be a little bit better for you, because then you're also tying in the love piece, right? It ties into
Mhm.
relationship and matchmaking. So I would just keep it super simple. Always have your photo as the profile image. And then like if you go to mine right now, it's Vicki O'Neill and it says YouTube Business Growth Mentor.
Mhm.
So you want to kind of look at what words need to be on that line with your name. Always want to make sure you have your name so people know exactly, who you are, and you're tying all the pieces, especially with your social channels together. And then the other words, like in my case, it's YouTube Business Growth Mentor. Those are keywords that if someone's looking for that, then my channel is going to be optimized for that.
I love
And then
it.
you can really maximize your about section, which looking at, and you can go to anybody's channel and look at like the very first thing that shows on the about. There's, I think there's 55 or 58 characters. The first 55 or 58 characters of your about section are what's going to be seen. It's kind of like a hook, like to your post or to your video. You want that first sentence to be the piece that people are like, I got to find out more. And then they
Mm,
want to click on that and read the rest of your about section.
I love that. So there really is a lot of strategy built in. And then you said the second piece is then the actual videos that you post,
Yes.
meaning the name of how you name your video. But
Yeah.
on top of that, there's other stuff, right, that you're optimizing.
Yeah. There's actually 9 different things that you need to optimize. So the first thing is your video file name. So that has to be done before you even upload, because once you upload your video, you can't change that. Your thumbnail. So the title of your thumbnail, your title, of course, that's like the one that most people focus on. Make sure that you have keywords in your title. You want to make sure in your, like, what you're saying in your video. So everything that you're saying in your video is a keyword, or it's a word that's being optimized by YouTube. Whether you turn on captions or not, it's still reading and understanding what you're saying in your video. Um, your description. You want to make sure that your description has your keywords and it's relatable to the topic, the thumbnail. All these pieces have to tie together.
Mhm.
Your hashtags. So you can use anywhere from 3 to 8 hashtags, which are just like, I always put mine at the bottom of my description. The first 3 are the most important. Those are the ones that are going to be like searchable with Google or YouTube, but you can use up to 8 if you want to. Your tags, which is a separate section on your video. Let's see here, what other ones? I think I went through 7. Like, what are the other 2? Category. So that's another one. When you're uploading your video, you can change the category. And then there's one other one. I can't think of it. It's in the video.
Yeah.
I swear it's in there.
No, and it's so interesting. Actually, there's one thing that comes up as a question about whether or not the video's been seen somewhere else or something. Does that really matter?
If they're what?
If the video has been posted somewhere else or something, there's a kind of a question that along those lines has it been seen on TV, or I don't know, whether or not it's for 18-year-olds or not. Like there's those. I'm trying to
Um,
think of all the different questions that come up.
yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So there's something on there that you can choose either as a channel or at the video level if the content is for adults, meaning if it's for somebody 18 and over. And so 2 things on that. If you, like I always say it's not made for kids, like it's for adults only.
Right.
Um, I don't talk about anything that kids can't listen to, but when you turn on it's under 18 or it's for kids only, then that piece of content gets really restricted, meaning that there's no comments, which defeats the purpose of us being on YouTube because we want to create engagement opportunities. It can't be monetized,
Oh,
and the categorization of it is not going to be like with other videos if you're doing just that one video. So I would say everybody, unless you are specifically creating content for kids, like maybe you're talking about toys and how they're made, or comic books or gaming that's specific to kids, then I would say always mark your content as not made for kids.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, this is like a master class on
Yeah.
YouTube. I'm so excited.
There's a lot to it. It's funny, right? Because there's a lot more to it than just uploading your videos.
I know, my gosh. And then the other thing is Well, I want to go back to one thing you talked about, thumbnails. Now, I don't know how important those things are, but it seems to me like it's like a big deal how to create your thumbnail. And like, for
Mhm.
example, even for a podcast, should you put the person's photo and just use the usual podcast thumbnail, or make it more interesting, and have some kind of keyword or something in there?
Yeah, you'll see podcast hosts doing a combination of those two. So I've seen podcast hosts where if they have a guest, they might only use the guest photo.
Hmm.
And I've seen other people, like on my original podcast, when I had a guest, I would use both photos. I would use mine and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen other people just use the exact same thumbnail or cover image for all of their episodes. And then they'll just mention that person's name in the title. So it really depends on like your branding, what recognition you want to give that person. And then also you need to look at the context, because the thumbnail is like, when you think about it, I always tell people to kind of think of your user experience when you're on YouTube and you've done a search and you're looking through the search results. And the first thing that we all look at is the thumbnail,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're visual beings and
Right.
it's what catches our eye. And so that is the number one most important thing for any video, because if nobody's going to click on your thumbnail or even look at your title, your video might as well not exist.
Mm.
So you need to have a good thumbnail. So I always encourage people to look at their overall strategy with their podcast and with putting those videos on YouTube, and see what makes the most sense for you, and then kind of like what you promise your guests, or just how much recognition you want to give them as well. And then is that congruent with your overall strategy and your brand as well?
Okay. Wow. God, there's so much to think of. So,
Yeah. So Mr. Beast, just for context, Mr. Beast, who is the number one YouTuber in the world,
mm-hmm.
he hires people individually, and he's hired multiple people for one video, and he pays them tens of thousands of dollars for thumbnail designs. That's
Wow.
all they do. That's how important thumbnails are. Now, I'm not saying I've never paid a ton of money for my thumbnails. I create most of mine in Canva, but thumbnails are that important that they really do need to have special attention. In fact, when you're creating your videos, you should create your thumbnail and your title first before you even create your video.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
So,
I'm throwing a lot at you.
yeah, because, I always invite guests on this podcast to learn about the things that I want to learn about. And this
Yeah.
is really important to me, because I'm like, all these years, I'm like, why am I not developing my YouTube if it's the second search engine out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so important for people to find you, and
Yeah.
also to be able to share good content? Why am I not doing that?
What's really interesting too, Nat, you'd mentioned it earlier, and I forgot to come back to it. So I'm glad that you mentioned it again, that it's the number 2 search engine. If you look at the, now it just escaped me. And I included it in one of my LinkedIn studies, and I've included it in my videos too, where there was a third-party study done on the streaming apps. So Netflix, Disney, YouTube, all the Paramount, all of those. And for the last 3 months in a row, YouTube, and I looked at it because I'm like, is it YouTube TV or is it YouTube main? And it's YouTube main. It is the number 1 streaming platform above Netflix and Disney. And the percent share, like market share of live streaming, is almost double Netflix and Disney combined.
Wow. I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah. So it's growing, and it's something that we all need to pay attention to, because YouTube continues to roll out new features. Things like, creators used to have to make different videos with different languages if they went through different parts of the world where they had a big market share. So
Mhm.
if I wanted to have my video in Spanish so that I could attract the Spanish speaking market, then I would have to create a separate video that was in Spanish and create a separate channel for Spanish. Now YouTube has rolled out languages where it will automatically translate your videos so you can have them all on one channel, and you don't have to create multiple channels or multiple videos.
Amazing.
So they're doing things with the create in mind. And that's just like an automation or simplification for the creator. But also from a creator standpoint, because you mentioned early on about monetization. So when you think of from a creator standpoint, if you want to get monetized through the YouTube Partner Program, which is where you get a check from YouTube or AdSense for, however many views you've got on your videos, then all your videos on one channel now, it's going to make it easier for you to get more views and get into that program faster.
Amazing.
So just another way that YouTube is looking at how they can help creators stay on the platform, keep creating, and then make more money in the process.
I think it's so great. And again, like I just got back from France, and I use the YouTube TV thing, but you can't use it outside, but I can go on YouTube anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know about China. I'm trying to remember. When I was in China, there was some restrictions, and I can't remember if it was YouTube but like for the most part, wherever you go, you could just go into YouTube. And I also noticed, and I don't know if this is new, but when my grandson comes over for the weekends, he likes to watch, these cartoons. So I established an account for him on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
all the cartoons that he's into, like the Paw Patrol and all this, they're all available. And it's a restricted channel. It's only the stuff that he's allowed to watch. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
there's just so much value to your point, and this in terms of comparison with Netflix and everything else. I
Mm-hmm.
just my YouTube TV or not even YouTube TV, but the YouTube channel program, and I do
Mm-hmm.
that on for him. So I'm all in with this YouTube. The thing that I need to figure out now, and then I think a lot of our listeners, if they have a YouTube account
Mm-hmm.
already, and it's been sitting there for years, not really doing anything, not being optimized, is there still an opportunity to turn that around, or do they have to start from scratch and really create a strategy and optimize it and all of that?
I would say if it's been sitting there for years and they haven't touched it, or if all they've been doing is just uploading videos as like a video, repository or
Mhm.
video library, I would say to create a new channel. But
Okay.
before doing so, have a strategy so that you don't get into that same situation where you've created a channel, but now you haven't done anything with it and 6 months has passed by. So
Mhm.
just know what you're doing before you create it, and then just make sure that you start creating videos or uploading videos. I would say within the first 2 weeks of creating your channel, and then have some consistency built in from there, from that point moving forward.
Interesting. Um, let's talk a little bit about content.
Mhm.
So, what is the best content to create for YouTube versus like all the other social media platforms that are out there? Obviously, we're talking videos, but I'm saying in terms of the actual content itself,
Mhm.
does it matter what you put out there?
And when you say content and does it matter, are you talking about like short form, live streaming, like pre-recorded, edited, like
All of the above. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting because YouTube has actually evolved over the last few years because when they introduced YouTube Shorts, which are the vertical videos that compete with Instagram Reels and TikTok, there was a lot of uncertainty with like where they fit in because the algorithm had always been like longer form videos. Here's how we're going to push these out. And so they've gone through different iterations with the algorithm and just really where to place those videos. And so now they've done a really good job of just keeping everything on one channel. So you can do the type of content doesn't matter. It's really like what resonates with you the most. But if you can do a mix of the different types, so you've got live streaming, long form, and YouTube Shorts, you've got access to all three of those when you first start a channel. Actually, live streaming, you might have to have 50 subscribers, but it's not that many. It's pretty easy to get to 50. But I would say between those three types of content, I would say to try it, see what works best for you. And if you can do a mix of them, that would be the best because people are going to tap into different types of content. Like people who watch YouTube Shorts may or may not also watch long form videos. They might just be there looking for the quick fixes. But then someone who's serious about looking for, a matchmaking mentor, they might be serious and go to YouTube and looking for longer form videos where they can find out who's in their area, who is providing the best value, what are the tips, can I build a connection with that person faster, what's going to build trust. And so looking at it from that perspective, the longer form videos where there's more value, more tips, more opportunities to really connect with someone are going to be the ones that are going to build trust. The YouTube shorts are going to be ones that are going to create awareness. And, they might be funny. They might be, linking to other videos. They serve a different purpose. And then live streaming's a real big opportunity to create engagement opportunities. Like we are right now, people can be joining, asking questions, engaging in the content. And that's where live streaming comes in. So it really depends on comfort level and then what you're trying to accomplish with your videos, but ultimately mix it up and see what works best.
Okay, this is all really interesting. Now, as far as the captions go, how important is that? Because I know for other platforms, I've always heard, well, you should include the captions because somebody might be looking at a video and not listening to it. Maybe they're at work or whatever. But I don't
Yeah.
see many captions used on YouTube for some reason.
That's because YouTube automatically built it in. So you can either have the captions on or you can turn the captions off. And that's at the video level. So you don't have to worry about actually adding the captions. It's automatically added and then you can toggle it on or toggle it off.
Meaning the user who's actually watching it.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
it. Okay. What else do we need to share with folks that they need to know about YouTube? Because there's so many little intricacies.
There really are. I would say if you're creating content already, if you're creating TikToks, if you're creating Instagram Reels, those videos can be repurposed on YouTube. I would just say that use the original sourced videos. What I mean by that is if you created them with your phone camera or if you created them in a third-party app that's not associated with TikTok or Instagram, then you can use that video and upload it to YouTube. Now, if you've got videos on TikTok and Instagram Reels and you're like, I really want to use these videos on YouTube, you're going to run into the issue where you've got the logo from the different platforms. And there's links or websites that you can go to where you can run your video through there. It'll take the logo off. The only problem is that AI with all the platforms, not just YouTube, they're too smart now where they can still tell from the coding of the videos where those videos are coming from. And so YouTube's going to look at it and say, hey, I see that you took off, this video came from TikTok. Even though I know you took off the logo, I can still tell it came from TikTok. And so it's not going to get as much visibility or reach. So in that case, it's just better, especially with short form videos, just recreate it. It doesn't take that much time. In fact, it's a great time to test a different call to action or change your background or make it shorter or longer or, just kind of play around with it. You've already got the content. So, the hard part's done because that sometimes is the hardest part is like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? And so you've got something you can essentially look at and say, I've already tested it. And now I'm going to recreate it for a different platform and see what happens over here.
So let's just say somebody's starting out. They're like, okay, I'm going to start doing YouTube videos. How often should they post?
Okay. So if you're posting long form videos, which are the horizontal videos, YouTube actually recommends one time a week. That's it.
Perfect.
Just do one time a week. Now, if you're like, I don't know if I can commit to one time a week, do one every 2 weeks. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't say once a month because it kind of defeats the purpose. But if you can commit to one time a week, then do one time a week. If you're doing YouTube shorts, I would say commit to 3 times a week and just pick different days, different times that you think people might be online and watching and just kind of test different days and times to see what works best.
Can those YouTube shorts just be snippets of the long form one?
Yeah, exactly. You can use even AI tools like, oh my gosh, I just lost I just lost what it's called. I was going to say Restream. It's not Restream. It's Opus Clip.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ones out there that you can use now, but Opus Clip's one that I really like, especially for podcast interviews like this, because it will take you and I, where we're side by side right now, and it will automatically detect and put us top and bottom.
Right.
without having to do any formatting. So run it through a tool like that so that you're saving time, and it'll do it for you. You pick the clips that are best for you, and then you can just upload them to YouTube.
I love it. I know you've mentioned AI a couple of times, and this has become a thing, and I think a lot of people are like, okay, can I use AI to recreate myself and just plug in what I want the AI to say, have it use my voice with like 11 labs or something. So
Yeah.
I never have to create a video and just let AI create videos of me for me so I don't have to deal with
Yeah.
it. What are your thoughts about this?
It's funny because I was actually thinking about introducing a program that did that, because there's so many people who are just like, I just don't want to do it. Or they're like, I don't want to invest the time. And so I was just like, you know what? I should just do this. The only problem is that YouTube just came out with a update, and it's on monetization. So if you don't care about being monetized with your videos, it might be something to look at. But YouTube is now going to demonetize or not monetize videos that are strong with AI, including channels. So that would be an example of AI, and therefore it would not be open to monetization. So I would just say think through your strategy and why you're on YouTube. And some people are just like, I don't care, I'm not on YouTube to make money.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds weird even saying that, but that might be the case. There might be matchmakers who are just like, I'm just looking for clients that they can get through their videos, which is still monetizing, but it's not through the YouTube Partner Program. In that case, they would be okay. But we don't know what changes or updates YouTube's going to make moving forward either with AI heavy content. So I would say maybe try it, see if you like it. But at this point, I'm not going to introduce a program like that just for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got 11 Labs, you've got HeyGen, and then there's another one too that you can do. But I know 11 Labs and HeyGen are the top two that people are typically using to replicate themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to replicate myself.
It's like it'd make it so much easier, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh.
There was
Um,
a TikTok. I don't know if you saw this or not in the news. Not like in the news, but just like social media news. There was a creator who made a TikTok account, and this is going to show the power of AI in video.
mhm.
Made a TikTok account, completely fake person. Everything in the videos was completely fake, but it was a female who who was going to the Wimbledon tournament. And so these videos were created using AI, created the female, and the videos were like, I don't know if you've seen the AI video clips. They're like typically like 15 seconds long. So
Mhm.
you could tell once they showed the video that they were clipped together. And I'm like, that's AI. You can tell just based on that alone. But they were like Wimbledon backgrounds. She looked completely real. Like her movements and stuff, all of the AI movement has gotten more natural. Before it was just like you people would just sit there and they would just talk. Her hands were moving and it looked natural. There was no deformities with
Yeah, I
how
was
it
gonna
was
say with
designed.
6 fingers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking of that Will Smith video that they did where it was just like crazy. Um, but it was really weird. So anyway, this person who created this account, everything was completely fake, but yet it had a ton of followers. People were engaging on the videos, and it just goes to show the power of AI, that we are at a point now where we can be replicated. We can create other people. We can create scenarios that seem real, but it's also a huge like red flag, and being cautious of those types of accounts. That same thing could happen on YouTube, but I think this new demonetization, or we're not going to monetize highly AI type content, is like a red flag to everybody who's going to YouTube, is saying we want real people, we
Yeah.
want authenticity, we want real connections, and we just want to keep it real here.
I think it's
Just
I mean,
something,
yeah, I
yeah.
think it's great because I also worry about the misinformation that especially that we're living in right now. Like when
Mhm.
people who are not trained or are not online often don't recognize when something's an AI. I mean, I can tell when somebody posts something that they just took off of Chat GPT.
Yeah.
And I mean, I use it all the time, but I massage everything so it's not a chat GPT output. It's my personality, and I fix a lot of things before it gets posted out there, but a lot of people are just taking and cutting and pasting, and so
That goes
this.
to show how you're using it intelligently and you've found ways to make it your own, and that you're not just going to copy and paste it, that there's still errors or things that need to be corrected so that it sounds like you. So
Mhm.
you're using it in the best way possible. And people are just copying and pasting. They're just like, I'm using AI, but they're not using it the best way they can. And it's not representing them in the best way possible either.
Yeah. It's nuts. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about monetization. My understanding is that you have to have a certain number of followers and also a certain number of views or time that people have spent watching your stuff. And is there a penalty? Because I know a few people that it's like one day they have no followers, the next day there's like a million followers. I'm like, that's a little suspect. I'll just wait and keep my 20 followers and let it grow organically. That's just not in my personality.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. And it's so funny because you can tell the accounts that have done that. They've bought their followers or their subscribers. And you can tell by just looking at their videos and the views and the engagement. So somebody who's got, I know a couple of channels like this, and one has admitted that the subscribers were purchased. It was just through ads, and that was their goal. And then someone else has not openly admitted it. She just continues to, I got 1 million subscribers. And I'm like, but you've got like 10 views on your video. But okay, you do you.
But
Um,
you can monetize that even if in that situation. I thought you have to have both things going on.
yeah, you do. So, well, two things. You can monetize a video that if you've got 0 subscribers and you've got 10 views.
Mm.
So, and the reason why is because you're monetizing it through your courses, your offers, your programs, your one-on-one coaching, whatever it is that you have,
Mm-hmm.
you can monetize your videos through your own assets. The way that most people think of monetizing YouTube is through the YouTube Partner Program. That's where you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours within a rolling 365 days. When you meet that criteria, you can apply to get into the YouTube Partner Program, which is where you would get that check cut or direct deposit into your account, the money from AdSense or Google from your videos. So that does take time, and you do have to have those requirements. And it does take some time up front, especially as a new creator, to get to that monetization.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube's introduced like a lower tier where you can have 500 subscribers and 3,000 public watch hours. And you get access to some of the paid features. Like if you do live streaming, you've got super chats, you've got, I think you might even have like your merch, where you see people with like merchandise underneath their profile.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different monetization features that you get at that point. But what I always tell people and my clients that I work with is that let's look at how we can monetize your content today. Let's just forget about the YouTube Partner Program. Once you get to that point, it'll be gravy and it'll be extra money that you're making. But let's get you money now until you get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we create the videos based on how we can incorporate their programs, their lead magnets, their offers into their video content, so that we can drive viewers to click on that link for that lead magnet, get them on their email list, and then sell them something through their email. That's an easier, faster way to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say to click on the link, are you saying it's on the video itself where they have to click on it, or is it in the description? How does
In
that
the Yeah, in the description.
work?
So what I always advise clients too is that, so with the link in the description, a lead magnet, I would say whatever that is, whatever your lead magnet is. So in this case, if we were doing it during this video, in the first 90 seconds, we would say, if you're interested in hearing the topics that we're talking about on this podcast episode, click the link in the description and you'll get a list of, and then maybe we could even say action items, whatever that would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then like around halfway point, you would say it again. Reiterate, same lead magnet. Hey, if you haven't grabbed your lead magnet yet, we would of course say what it is and what they get for it. Click the link in the description and access that now. And then do it a third time at the end. So you want to make sure you do it at the very beginning, like within those first 90 seconds, because we know from stats, you look at your analytics on all of your videos, and this is normal, that you'll have the majority of the viewers will drop within the first 5 to 15 seconds. So you want to make sure that those who are at least staying for the first 90 seconds, they hear it, they have an opportunity to click on it and get them onto your email list. And then a lot of times viewers aren't, even if they've made it to that point, they're not going to listen to the entire video. So that's why we have different points in the video that we want to mention it. So we're trying to capture all of those people and serve those reminders to encourage them to get onto the email list.
That's so good. And always have it be a lead magnet and not, I'm asking your opinion in terms of like not being salesy, but more of like, here's a gift, here's something, and it's relevant to what your program is. And maybe there's an upsell or something else that comes up. Hey, take this, but by the way, there's also this if you're interested. Like, exactly in terms of monetization, what are you suggesting in that case?
Yeah, exactly. So I always, so there's one like program that I do where it's creating 4 or 5 videos that are going to work on autopilot for the creator. So these are the evergreen videos, the ones that regardless of the day, the season, the year, they're going to be relevant to you, your channel, content, the viewer. So creating those videos and then creating a playlist where it's going to increase bingeability. So we think like Netflix, right? So we go to Netflix and there's a new show that comes out. Got to watch this show. We sit down for however many hours. Maybe it's a 2-day event over the weekend, but we watch the entire show. And so this is creating that same type of binge-worthy content where you've got 4 or 5 videos that are related based on wherever somebody's going to come in and start watching one of these videos, they're going to be interested in watching the other videos. That lead magnet, you can have one lead magnet for those 4 or 5 videos, or pick different lead magnets that are more relevant for each one. But all of them in that case are going to lead to, a similar offer, since those videos are similar and have, different degrees of whatever it is that you're talking about on that topic, but serving the same audience with the lead magnets, the content, and then ultimately the offer. So again, that's why the strategy and the planning ahead is so important. Instead of just, picking up our phone and pressing record and starting to talk, having a real intention and purpose behind it so that we can get those people watching our videos and keep them on our channel longer.
I think you're 100% on target with that, because all the things that go into it really require strategy and planning. And would you say that you should plan 1 month ahead or at a time, or is something where you create a whole year plan of what you're going to do, more or less? Like what's your recommendation in terms of the planning?
I probably wouldn't recommend a year in advance, just because there's so much that changes, either through technology, through topics. I would just not do that far in advance. I would say plan, if you're looking at just topics and videos, I would say 3 to 6 months would be the most. In regards to recording the videos, I would say if you can batch record, meaning doing more than one video at a time, that would be ideal for us, especially women.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I have to put makeup on. I have to do my hair to look presentable. Or I should say, to feel confident being presentable, because that's on me, right? That's not on viewers. So in order to do that and to not have to get everything set up every single time, it's just easier for me to record more than one video at a time. So depending on your time that you have and how often you're going to be recording, I would say look at how you can simplify it for you and be in that same mindset. So when you're planning your videos, you're going to be in a completely different mindset than when you're actually recording your videos, because you're being more creative. You're on camera. You might have to, go a little bit off script or off topic and then come back. Planning, you're looking at your thumbnail, your title, you're more structured. So if you can do maybe 4 videos at one time and get a month's worth of planning out, then that would be great. Maybe you record 2 videos one week, and then the next week you record the other 2 videos. And then editing, hopefully you send it out to an editor. But videos today on YouTube, believe it or not, especially for small channels, they don't require, people aren't looking for all that fancy editing. In fact, straight to camera, very little editing is actually preferred. So now's a really good time to actually start creating videos for YouTube for that reason alone. But if you're going to send it out to an editor, of course, do that. So planning that into the overall process is going to be important too.
I mean, you took the question right out of my head, because I was going to ask you about that. A lot of people get caught up in having a very professional looking YouTube versus something that's a little bit just casual. I had a guest on who's very knowledgeable about social media, and he was saying that you're almost better off just like you could be offering content and doing something and make it more interesting that way versus just speaking right into the camera,
Mm-hmm.
which is what a lot of people do, that talking head. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, and you'll notice too that the videos that have a lot of views, especially ones that tend to go viral, that aren't like dancing or any of that kind of thing, when the camera starts, when you first start watching the video, you've got somebody who's already doing something. Like maybe I've written something on here, and then I'm setting it down, and then I'm like putting my glasses on, and I'm taking, there's action going on, and the things that I'm getting this from somebody she's created on Instagram, and now she's on TikTok. But she's created a viral formula where she teaches people how to go viral with short form videos. And I can see how she does it too, and she talks about it on one of the podcasts that I listen to. But like an example was in one video, she was in her kitchen and she had tennis balls, and she just started throwing them into a boiling pot of water. And so the host was like, "Why were you boiling tennis balls?" She's like, "Because it's different and it catches people's attention."
Oh my
It's
God.
not something that's expected, right? She's like, just think of the most oddball thing that you can do and do it in your video, and, just create a video and see what happens. So it's the things that are just so like, crazy, where people are going to be like, what is she doing? Why is she doing that? Meanwhile, you're talking and you're like, talking about this message and getting your message out at the same time. So it really comes down to, when it comes to creativity, we got ChatGPT now for people who aren't so creative. Literally ask ChatGPT, hey, I want to make a Instagram reel or a TikTok or a YouTube short. I want it to be funny and I want it to be this, and it'll come up with ideas for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So it's funny. Yeah.
What are the common mistakes that people make, like when they're
What are
trying
the
to?
mistakes? I would say that the biggest mistake is that someone has good intentions of getting started, but then they actually never do. So it's actually pressing record. And so that is going to hold them back. And it's that self-sabotage that we constantly are telling ourselves that we're not good enough. Nobody's going to watch. And if we can get past that, press record and just do it. We all know, we probably have all done it. I know I've done it like 1,000 times where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just constantly, but then when I do it, the anxiety is gone. I'm like, really? That's what I was all anxiety about? It wasn't that bad. So you get that behind you, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can do this, and you're like, I got 10 views. It's like, great. That's 10 more people that saw your video that wouldn't have known you existed had you not done it. So when you kind of look at it from that perspective, then it makes it a little bit easier. So I would say the biggest mistake is that they get too caught up in their heads that they don't start. The second mistake I would say that people make is that they don't take it seriously. Like, it is your business, it is your brand, if that's what you're going to be doing YouTube for. If you're going to, if you've got a business growth business that you talk about on LinkedIn and you're going to do a gaming channel on YouTube, then obviously the two are not in sync. And then you do you. You do whatever you need to do over here. But if you're going to take like whatever your business is on LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever you're building it, and you're going to take that over to YouTube, then take it seriously. Like, don't just start posting content to be posting content. Really think about what is it that your dream clients that you want to work with are searching for on YouTube, and just do the research. We've got this thing where you start typing and it actually gives you answers, right? It's that, I always call it the type ahead, but I mean, it's filling out the rest of the words that you're already typing. And that's what people are actively looking for right now. So if you're putting yourself in your dream client's shoes and you're going to YouTube and you're typing it in, it's going to tell you what they're looking for. That's what you start making videos on. And then you sit down, use ChatGPT to help you write a script, use Canva to create your thumbnails. And so we've got access to all these tools that can simplify the process for us. And so if you want to take that approach where you want to do it yourself, then just, sit down and make it happen, or hire a coach and make it even simpler. But I would just say that the strategy and the planning are probably the two biggest mistakes that I see once they get on camera and start creating videos that they don't do, or that they don't take seriously.
I love it. And I know that you created a resource for our audience today to be able to download. And I actually just downloaded it myself. I'm excited to get into it, but it is about YouTube planning, right? Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that resource.
Yes. So I've outlined it for you so that you have a link to a Canva template so that you can actually create your thumbnail in a way that's going to be simple for you. And then I give you all the different things that you need to think through when you're laying out your videos: your title, your description, your keywords, kind of those things that we were talking about earlier on about optimizing and making sure that your videos are optimized. And then I believe there's a ChatGPT or a few ChatGPT prompts that you can use that are going to help you get to the optimized titles and descriptions that you need for those videos as well. So essentially, it's one tool that I'm giving you that gives you basically what you need to get started with creating videos on YouTube.
That is so generous and so amazing for people who are really getting started and taking this serious, because as you said, it's not just monetizing through the partner program. It's actually being able to provide your services to the people that need you. And YouTube is such a great resource. Vicki, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today and sharing such practical and powerful insights. I know so many matchmakers that are listening are probably rethinking their whole YouTube strategy, and maybe thinking about becoming visible and getting and creating lead generation through that platform, because I honestly don't think there are a lot of matchmakers out there on YouTube. And if you're a matchmaker listening to this, you should really share this with your colleagues and get everybody else going on this, because I think it's such a great resource. And as we've said multiple times here, this is the number 2 search engine. And I think a lot of people are looking for video content because it's just easier to understand than reading something that maybe doesn't get the full message across. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Thank you. And is there anything that we left out that you want to share? Maybe a question I didn't ask you about YouTube?
I would just say, based on being a matchmaker, I mean, we all know the importance of being visible, and then also just sharing the important tips and resources that I'm speaking for myself. When I'm ready to start finding someone to share my life with, like I'm going to be taking it seriously. So I'm going to be looking for those resources, and it's all about building trust and being visible and sharing the information that people are looking for. And based on that post that you shared, I think it was earlier today, about like the top 2 cities where matchmaking is. I think it was Madison, Wisconsin, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. So, if I was moving to one of those cities, I would already be looking for, matchmakers, because I don't want to get on an app. I want to talk with a person and someone who's actually going to be helpful. So just think about that, in that, if it was Colorado Springs, that's 2-hour difference for me. And that YouTube is something that works 24/7. And so having that presence there, it's all about having your content available when someone like me is ready to pull that information. right? So if you're on TikTok or Instagram, it's based on the algorithm. You may or may not see it in your feed. I'm going to YouTube intentionally looking for information, and then that information is going to be presented to me as I requested.
Hmm.
And so I think it's really important that as a matchmaker and just what you do to help people with one of the most important decisions that they're ever going to make, who to share their life with, but that's something that requires being visible and building trust and making sure that you're providing the value that people are looking for before they reach out to you or even submit their email to receive a resource. And so it's more important today than ever. From my own past experience of being on the dating apps, which was, I've heard that they've gotten even worse.
Yeah.
Being a matchmaker is actually going to create a bigger space. And I think being visible, being authentic, being transparent, and providing those guides and resources that are going to help people, regardless of when they're searching, is going to be really important.
Absolutely. And I think matchmaking now more than ever is super important because people have lost the ability to connect face to face or be out in spaces where they actually connect. Most people are buried in their phones. And one of the things that I always say is that the first match, if you're planning to work with a matchmaker, is the matchmaker and the client. And so if you're visible and you're on YouTube, the person can start to gauge the kind of personality that you have and see if it's going to be a match for them as well. Because if you don't like your matchmaker or you feel put off their person, like when I was a matchmaker, I wasn't for everybody because I'm a truth teller and I'm a straight shooter from New York. So that's not for everybody. Some people like to have a lot of smoke. So I think it's really important for you to match with your matchmaker first and foremost. And I think having the ability to showcase your personality and who you are on YouTube, people can decide, you know what, this is somebody I think I can work with. And so I really think that both matchmaking is huge and important, and YouTube I think is a great place to be there. And I'm definitely going to make more of an effort to be more visible on YouTube as well, because I really see the value in it.
Yeah. Well, good. Awesome. I hope everybody else got value in this too.
Thank you. And if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, subscribe to the Matchmaker Mentor podcast, and don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your fellow matchmakers. And somebody might be struggling, trying to find a little bit of visibility. Just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come. You have to put yourself out there. And of course, if you are thinking of becoming a matchmaker, starting a business and an ethical and profitable one, go to the lovepromastermind.com. And of course, we're going to share Vicki, your resource for everyone in the link so that they can also start planning their content properly and really doing YouTube the right way. And I'm going to use it too, and we'll be talking some more. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Arlene. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have you ever felt called to help others find love? You might have the heart for matchmaking, but without the right training, turning that passion into a thriving business can feel impossible. Most matchmaking courses give you outdated theories and a certificate, but no real-world strategy to build a successful business. That's where Love Pro Mastermind Academy is different. Our live Done With You training goes beyond theory, helping you develop matchmaking expertise, implement sales and marketing strategies, and master the art of client success. With expert-led instruction, accountability, and a community of like-minded professionals, you'll learn how to identify your niche, attract high-quality clients, create a seamless matchmaking process, grow a sustainable, profitable business. With over a decade of experience, we don't just train matchmakers, we create leaders in the industry. Are you ready to become an LPMA certified matchmaker and build a business that changes lives? Apply today at lovepromastermind.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow matchmakers and friends. For more resources, training, and inspiration, visit lovepromastermind.com and follow us on social media. Remember, matchmaking isn't just a career, it's a calling. Let's keep building connections, changing lives, and growing together. Until next time, stay inspired and keep matching.